My name is Bonaventure. Welcome to our commercial class. Today, we are going to look at the difference between a guarantee and an indemnity. The difference between a guarantee and an indemnity. A guarantee is an agreement by which the guarantor accepts the responsibility for a debt owed by the borrower to someone else. That someone else is called a lender. And if the borrower fails to do so, the guarantor can then claim the money back from the borrower. That means here are three parties. We have the one lending money, and the one borrowing money, and the other one guaranteeing to pay the whole amount of money in case the borrower does not pay the lender. So we have three parties. We have the lender with the money, and then we have the borrower of that money, and then we have somebody who guarantees that in case the borrower does not pay or fails to pay the whole amount, then he can pay the remainder. That is the guarantor. And then indemnity contract now arises when one individual takes on the obligation to pay for any loss or damage that has been or might be incurred by another individual. The right to indemnify and the duty to indemnify ordinarily stems from a contractual agreement, which generally protects against liability of loss. When it comes to indemnity, there are only two parties. There is one individual who is undertaking a certain project, and then the other one comes up and says, in case you incur any loss, I will come round and indemnify for that loss. So here there are only two parties, that individual and the indemnifier. Okay, so the difference between a guarantee and an indemnity. A contract of guarantee, a contract of guarantee, to be actionable, must be evidenced by a memorandum or a note, while a contract of indemnity need not be in writing, and an oral promise still would be enforceable. So in a contract of guarantee, there must be a written memorandum. But when it comes to indemnity, no such a thing is required. Oral promise alone is enough because there are only two individuals. Two, number of parties in indemnity contract includes only two parties, namely the indemnifier and the indemnity holder. But guarantee contract includes three parties, namely the creditor, the principal debtor, and the surety. the surety, the principal debtor, and what? And the creditor. Also, in contract, number of contract, in contract, indemnity contract, there are in guarantees, in a contract of guarantee, there are 3 parties. But in a contract of indemnity, as I said earlier on, there are only 2 parties. Also, in an indemnity contract, it's very simple because there are only 2 parties. But in a contract of guarantee, it's a bit complex because there are 3 parties. We have the lender, we have the principal debtor, and then we have the surety. But not so in the indemnity contract, where there are only 2 parties. So it's very simple in nature. In a contract of guarantee, 2 types of liabilities may exist: the primary and the secondary liabilities, which will be with the principal debtor and surety respectively. But in contract of indemnity, absolute liability rests with the indemnifier. Also, when it comes to recovery, in indemnity contract, the indemnifier, after compensating the indemnity holder's loss, cannot recover the amount from the indemnity holder again. But when it comes to guarantee, the guarantor, after making good of the amount that the borrower did not pay, he can go back and recover the same from the borrower, but not so in the contract of indemnity. Also, therefore, the contract of guarantee, a guarantor has his rights against the creditors. He may at any time require the creditor to sue the principal debtor after the principal debt has come due. When the principal debt has come due, the guarantor can summon the lender, the creditor, to start following up, to follow up that person who borrowed money from him. You may remind him that now that debt is due. Why don't you ask the person to pay you? Before I also do my part, you must also do your part. And so, although he undertakes to indemnify the creditor for the risk, delay, and expense involved, he's also entitled to the benefit of any set-off or a counterclaim which the principal debtor might have against the creditor. In case in case the principal debtor has any benefit or has any expense to claim from the creditor, the guarantor must also share those benefits, because he's a party also to their agreements. So he must also share whatever the principal debtor wants to claim from the creditor. And so, in case the guarantor, in case the borrower does not pay, after the guarantor has discharged his obligation under the guarantee, he has a right to have every judgment or every security held by the creditor in respect of the debt assigned to him. For example, if the borrower had given out anything to act as a collateral for that debt, and after the guarantor has paid the amount that the borrower owes the creditor, then any security held by the creditor in respect of the debt which he has cleared must not be given back to the other party, to the borrower. No, it goes back to the guarantor. And then if the borrower will not pay the guarantor his money, then the guarantor will keep the security gotten from the creditor. Let us also look at the characteristics of a contract of guarantee. In short, it consists of three parties, as I've already told you: the guarantor, the creditor, and the principal debtor. The guarantor's liability is secondary or collateral. The guarantor has no interest in the transaction between the parties. He has no interest. For him, his interest is, in case he fails to pay, I will come and pay. And after paying, he will go back to that person to ask him to pay him back his money. He has that right. And also in a contract of guarantee, it must be evidenced by some note or some memorandum that somebody borrowed so much from such a creditor. It should not be oral. But in a contract of indemnity, an oral promise is enough. So if the other party claims that this man told me that in case I incur losses, he will come up and pay, then if he doesn't fulfill his promise, then he will be asked to pay, irrespective, regardless of whether there was a written memorandum between the two or not. promise orally is enough. And with that, we come to the end of our lesson. Go back and do some research yourself of this topic. It is a very short topic. It doesn't have much. Therefore, my good students, let us meet next time in another lesson. Bye-bye.